Well, good morning and welcome back to Morning Chat. And my name is Joshua Kemboi. We will be taking you through what exactly happened this past weekend, plus what other things happened before the weekend, including the bid that Kenya won to host the 2017 World Youth Athletics Championships. And joining me in studio is Bismarck Mutai, one man who has had his hands really in athletics over very many years as senior sub-editor with the Standard newspaper. Bismarck, welcome back. We will of course be talking about that subject I've just introduced, plus of course on the tail end of this discussion, like Wanuna said earlier on, we will touch on exactly what's happening with teams like Arsenal, teams like Liverpool. Of course, they're the big teams which are not looking like they're sparkling. And of course, Man U. Exactly. Well, Man U has just found their footing recently. The match, of course, they won and 2-1 on Saturday. That is some of the, or those are some of the subjects we'll be discussing. But this subject, Mutahi, of Kenya winning the bid to host the 2017 World Youth Athletics Championships, of course, the celebrations really were evident on the day IAAF gave these honors to Kenya. But in my opinion, I think winning the bid was just one part of the assignment. From where you sit, I don't know whether you also celebrated or you asked the question, so what next?
Okay, first, maybe thank you. I want to thank AK, the government and everybody for the bid, and also, more importantly, the athletes, the like of Mercy Cherono and Dennis Kimeto. Actually, those are the faces of the bid, not actually AK officials of the government, and congratulations for that. But as you say, it is now back to work. We've done that. The bid was just a first fraction of what we had to do. The work starts now, and it should have started now, because we have a lot of work to do. Hosting the world in Nairobi, for that matter, is not a small thing, because we have to do very many things, considering what we've been going through as a country. You know what has been going through as a country, the bad publicity and everything. So for me, getting the bid first was a good thing for Kenya because of the positive publicity that we are going to get. But now, as you say, the work has just begun. We want to look at, we have the facilities, right facilities before 2017 that can host us. Okay, we can look back and say in 2010 we hosted the Africa Senior Athletics Championships, and we did, in my own opinion, yeah, the hosting and everything we did well. Maybe some of the things we were not seen, but in terms of hosting, I didn't hear of anybody complaining, any athletes complaining about the hosting and everything. But looking at the facilities which we used in 2010 and right now, are they still in good order? To me, they are not in good order, and we really have got a big job to do before 2017 comes over. Exactly.
What comes to mind as well is, and it is good to reference 2010, because I recall that time when even the warm-up track was being constructed up to the eve of the competition. But looking back again in 2007, that is 2007, when Kenya hosted the World in Mombasa during the World Cross, I think it was more easier to host the World Cross, in again my opinion, than hosting the World in the World Youth, of course, because of the number of days. When you look at it, World Cross is just one day. The World Youth Championships, just like the senior, is held over a few or a number of days. Does it bring in or does it need more resources? Of course, the government has pledged to give 800 million. I don't know whether that is enough.
As you say, the 2000 World Cross Country in Mombasa was something which we started with. We can say it was something, a stepping stone for us to show the world that we can be able to host some world event. Okay, we did well in Mombasa, but as you put it, that was a one-day event. But even though it is a one-day event, you still have got to put in some effort to ensure that the world are happy with what you are giving out to them. So for me, it was a success. But as you say, 800 million by the government, it might not be enough. And again, it might be enough, because we have got Nyayo Stadium, we've got Kasarani Stadium, which were renovated just the other day. Okay, some of us were complaining the renovation was not enough, which I agree, it was not up to the standard. And if we have the 800 million for all the logistics and everything, for renovation and everything, I think it would be enough. And you remember also the Jubilee government had promised that they had add a lot of money. They want to invest more in sports. This is an opportunity also for them to show us what they can do really in sports. And this is an opportunity not only to show Kenya, but the entire world that they can give us a world-class event.
When you talk about government, Bismarck, I to some extent have some reservations because Football Kenya Federation presented a bid to host 2017 Africa Cup of Nations, and it never was, or it was a stillborn, I would say, because when FIFA looked at, or rather CAF looked at the facilities, even with the government backing for that event, it fell so short of the expectations.
It's good that you mentioned about the AFCON bid. I happened to have looked at the document before even it was presented to CAF. But for me, the way the document was even done, if I was the CAF person going to look at it, I would have said no. Because the way it was done, you look at the bid, they were talking of an hotel in Machakos or an hotel in Nakuru, and then they are giving of a stadium in Nairobi. Surely, some of the things that not work out, or you are talking of Kisumu and then you are telling us that you have this hotel, and you look at the distance of the hotels, it's just far. But going back to the government, what the government said, in everything you have to do, you have to involve the government. Exactly. And you say you are right, it is right. FKF cannot build stadiums. It is down to the government to build this facility. So FKF would not have done it without the government. But I really don't know what happened. We've yet to be told by the FKF people what CAF really said about this. Was it about the facilities? Was it about what? And as you say, it is down to the government to build the facilities, not the federation. The federation don't have the money to build those facilities. It's all down to the government.
It was ironical that now coming to the athletics bid, that Kenya won the bids even with the internal wrangles within AK. I don't know whether that was overlooked or probably the IAAF shut their ears and said, you guys, that is your internal problem. We will give you this thing and we will judge you on that.
I think I was happy that we got the bid because of what we had. There was everything negative about our athletics, and it is good that we got that right towards the 2017 World Youth. And despite all, as you say, the sideshows and everything, I think it was a good thing. The world has got confidence in us. It is only us who want to spoil our good image by all these sideshows and everything. So what we should do now that we got the bid, let's put our house in order and let's all get together and make sure that 2017 is going to be a success.
Of course, it was ironical again on the eve, or just on that night when the positive results came from Monaco. Even the rebels seemed to agree that yes, let us forget about our differences and we host the world in 2017. But assuming that you'll still be doing what you're doing at that time in 2017, what do you expect to see?
In terms of the competition, I expect that is an opportunity for us to look at the youth that we've been watching on TV and everything. It's an opportunity for the youth to showcase their talent in front of their own fans. And I'm looking at the situation where we are going to do extremely well. Okay, we can look at the home pressure and everything, but I think this is an opportunity for us to reclaim our title from the US, which took the last one. You remember we had won in Bidgosh in 2009, and then the following one, I think I can't remember when, but it was our title. The World Youth has always been our title, but US has already taken it from us. And it is an opportunity for us to take it back at our home. And also it is an opportunity also for tourism. 2017, our tourism has not been doing well because of the negative things that have been talked about, the Al-Shabaab attacks and everything. But once we have the world coming to Nairobi, it's also an opportunity to also to showcase our tourism, to show the world what we have in terms of tourism and also sports tourism, as we are talking about.
Exactly. Of course, notwithstanding the fact that we lost the last edition, of course, we have the 2015 World Youth, I think, in Mali. Coming to that 2017 again, you mentioned about tourism, you mentioned about uplifting the country's profile in as far as the negatives that has been happening again. Our youth have also been winning, so to say, for other nations. I think an aspect of ensuring that between now and that time we hold on to the talent or AK ensures that the talent that this country has? I'm looking at athletes who are probably right now in primary school, because 2017 is just about 3 years from now or so for preparations for that matter. How would you want to look at the team that will represent this country be picked or be identified early enough?
Yeah, it is good that we do preparations early, and it is now down to the KSSA, the Kenya Secondary Sports Association, and also the primary ones, because it is these athletes from schools right now in primary school, as you put it, who will represent us in 2017. So it is the time to identify right now. Invest more in those school championships. Make sure that AK officials go down there. And this is an opportunity for the AK officials who are fighting. It's an opportunity for them, those who maybe want to remove Kiplagat, and also Kiplagat in this team who want to remain. It is now an opportunity to let them fight on the field. Let them fight by the resources that they put in the schools, and make sure that these schools get all the facilities they want. Because when you go to most of the schools, they don't even have places to run to. When you see how they mark their lanes, they have to cut the lanes to get sure you have a line. Yes. So that tells you the facilities that these youth that we expect them to represent us, what they go through down there in primary schools or in secondary school. So it is an opportunity for them. And you talked about our youth going to run for other countries like Bahrain and everything. To a certain extent, to me, sometimes also you cannot stop it, because why am I saying this? Sometimes we are like Brazil in football. You find that Brazil, they have got almost a player in almost all the countries. And you look at the World Cup, the last World Cup in Brazil, almost every country had got a player who has got Brazil origin.
Yes.
So it's also like us. We have a lot of talent in athletics, and sometimes some athletes find that they can earn some money elsewhere. But I'm not really encouraging our athletes to go out there, but let them fight for slots here and be able to fly our flag.
Exposure for these athletes, because I'm imagining an athlete, say, coming from Turkana County.
Yes.
They have never stepped on a tartan track. And probably they could be the best in whatever field they'll be participating in. Would it be prudent enough to expose them probably during one of the championships? They are brought to either Kasarani. I'm glad now Kipchoge Stadium has a track, as a tartan track, or probably taken to Kasarani, so that in an event that any athlete from that region qualifies for the World Youth at that time, they will not be, getting onto a tartan track for the first time.
Yeah, it is. That is really a good point, because you find that sometimes athletes come in, they get shocked by the track alone. They've never seen a tartan track before, and then they are expected to run there and win. So to them, they are just even still admiring the tartan track. And as you put it, some of these championships, like the primary school championships or the secondary school championships, if possible, let them be encouraged to maybe host their championships in Eldoret, where the Kipchoge Keino Stadium, or come to Nairobi, Nyayo Stadium or Kasarani, because that is an opportunity to expose this youth to run on the tartan track, and also to expose them maybe to run on the running shoes or the running spikes, as we put it, because we've always seen our youth running abroad barefooted, because they've never seen the running shoes before. And this is an opportunity also, because if you give them the shoe, they have now gone away to run in maybe in Bidikosh or any other country, and they're expected to put on the running spikes. They'll not be able to do that because they've never run in the tartan track before. Then you're giving them the running shoes again, which really is going to even shock them more, and they are not going to give us what we really wanted.
Exactly. As we conclude this about the athletics, of course, everyone says it was a good thing because Kenya has dominated juniors, has dominated in the seniors and all. It would have been bad if Kenya did not win the bid. Of course, regardless of the point that the other bidders, saw it fit to remove their bid, if I may use the word, on the floor in favor of Kenya. But moving forward now, let's now put aside athletics and this subject. My anchor Wanuna said earlier on, football. What is happening to your team?
Which is my team?
Please don't hide your face, because I know you're an Arsenal fan.
Because I support Mathare United locally, and then I support Barcelona, I support Arsenal. So maybe which one do you?
Okay, Mathare. Let's put it this way. Of course, what's happening to Mathare, because going back to 1998 when they won the then Moi Golden Cup, while being in the lower leagues. They came to the Premier League, won the Premier League once, and they have been surviving ever through since that time.
Okay, the big problem with Mathare has been they are losing players. They are losing players. All the other clubs have got the money and everything. You see, Mathare, when it was started in 1987 as Maisa, it was a model for all clubs. They were able to attract all the big players. It was professional run and everything. But now all the clubs have known about that. They have been able to attract players from Mathare because they have the money and everything. But at the moment, Mathare does not have the money to be able to attract the big players. Back to what you are saying about Arsenal. The problem, I think, in my own opinion, I've not been a coach before, but in my own opinion, I think a change would be good for Arsenal. Let's Wenger step aside, and then we see anybody who is coming back. We see if there will be a budget to buy players, if there will be a budget to do what. Because Wenger has been complaining that he's not able to get enough money to buy players and everything. Let him step aside, and then we see who is going to come in if really he's not going to get a budget to buy players.
Yeah, I was looking at social media this morning, and there's a trend that Wenger out. I asked myself, is that really the solution? Because while you say he has not been supported financially to buy players, and yet he, as a coach, is not a bad person. Does he have the right team, or is overstayed in that position?
Actually, what is happening is that I really don't buy that idea that he's not being supported. He's always saying that he doesn't want to buy an expensive player. He doesn't have to do that. And the football world has changed. If Man United can buy Di Maria at around 60 million pounds, and then you want to buy a player at 16 million or less, surely you cannot compete with those teams. Chelsea with all the money they have, Man City with all the money they have, all the other teams, everybody is getting money, everybody is buying. So to me, if somebody was to buy out Arsenal with all the money around there, I think it's going to change. Get Wenger out of it. Wenger has outlived his usefulness, if you ask me. He's been the most successful manager at Arsenal. That we can dispute about that.
Yes.
He's won everything for Arsenal, but sometimes a change is as good as a rest.
Exactly. Let's fly back to East Africa, and there's no talk about Sekafa Senior Challenge Cup in 2014.
Actually, we were talking sometimes back with some of my friends, and we were asking ourselves, where is Sekafa going? Now that Ethiopia said that they were not going to host it, there was a talk that it was going to Sudan. But at the moment, up to now, we still don't know if Sudan are ready to host it. It seems that it's looking like the AFCON, which Morocco refused to host.
Yes.
Sekafa is also looking like that. Maybe the Sekafa Supremo, the likes of Kina Nicholas Musonye, should tell us, is Sekafa going to be hosted this year or not?
Exactly. And I did call, I called Musonye yesterday, actually from last week. And one time he was in Ghana, and he said he was coming back on Thursday. He has not been able to get back to us. And I really wondered, because initially around this time of the year, or even before, 2 months before November, we already knew which country was going to host. Would it indicate the death of the regional competition that countries have always looked forward to either host or take part in before the close of the year? I don't know.
I think to me it is Sekafa. I think the Sekafa had put all their energies on Ethiopia. They didn't want to have a plan B. And always when you are doing anything, always have a plan B.
Exactly.
You remember what CAF also went into problems when Morocco withdrew. Yes. They were looking at South Africa, which South Africa also refused and everything.
Ghana
so
refused.
They should also see a plan B. If you have this country going to say, we are going to host it, have a plan B. If this country is not going to host it, where are we going to go next? And as you put it, if you don't have such plans, then surely it is only less than a month to that championship.
Actually 2 weeks, because it normally kicks off in the second week of December.
Yeah.
This is 24th today. And we still don't have an indication
because
of
even the countries have not even, you've not heard of Kenya talking of a squad to Sekafa, you've not heard of any other country, because they really don't know. So to me, I'm not going to be shocked if it's not going to be held this year.
Exactly. Bismarck Mutai, senior sub-editor with the Standard newspapers, bringing us up to speed as to what is happening within Kenya, East Africa, Africa, and across the globe in matters football, athletics, and all that really matters. That is all we had. Bismarck Mutai, thank you for your time, and we take you back to Sophia Wanuna to continue with the Morning Express.